Gentle kisses traced the line of his jaw, stirring Andrew from the depths of sleep. As his eyes blinked open, he found Megan lying beside him, her smile warm and effortless. "Good morning," she said softly, her fingers brushing a stray hair from his face. "You were sleeping so deeply." He yawned and stretched, pulling her close, burying his face in the warmth of her shoulder. The day ahead loomed in his mind. He had to drop her at the train station before work, then meet friends later that evening. But the weight of the coming goodbye made even the simplest movements feel slower. "When will you be back?" he asked quietly, watching her as she zipped up her suitcase. 3 days, she replied, tucking in a few last-minute items: makeup, a book, a scarf she always brought on trips. "There's a welcome event today, and the conference kicks off officially tomorrow." She wasn't going far, just a neighboring town, but still, her bag was tightly packed with dresses, heels, things she didn't wear around him anymore. A quiet ache settled in his chest. Farewells had never sat right with him, but this one, it felt heavier than usual. "I'm going to miss you," he whispered, wrapping his arms around her from behind, resting his chin in the curve of her neck. She leaned into the embrace, but her eyes had already drifted elsewhere. At the station, the goodbye was brief, a kiss, a wave. Then she was gone, swallowed by the crowd, the train, and a distance that suddenly felt far too wide. Work came next, and the hours passed in a blur of emails and meaningless conversations. Megan's texts kept lighting up his phone: photos of the train ride, snapshots of countryside views, a cozy little bistro where she had lunch with her colleagues. By evening, he knew every detail of her day: what street her hotel was on, how her room looked, where the conference hall was located. Then, just as he was heading out to meet his friends, her final message appeared: "Just reached the hotel. I'm beat, turning off my phone, crashing early." He smiled, typed out a quick reply: "Sweet dreams, love," and pocketed his phone. Outside the bar, Mike, Jay, and David were already waiting. Mike clapped him on the back. "Hey man." Inside, drinks were poured, laughter bubbled, stories flowed like they always did. "So," David grinned, "how's it feel to be a free man for the night?" The table erupted in laughter, but Andrew just smiled faintly and shook his head. He wasn't in it, not really. His mind was still with Megan, drifting somewhere in that hotel room. Hearing her voice, remembering her perfume, Mike leaned in. "Dude, seriously, you're dragging the whole vibe down. We finally got together after months, and you look like someone ran over your dog." "I can't help it," Andrew said with a sigh. "I miss her. Honestly, I should have just gone with her. I could have taken a few days off." A collective groan followed. Someone muttered, "Hopeless." 15 minutes later, his drink sat untouched. Then, without a word, he stood up. "I'll catch you guys later." They didn't try to stop him. He left, hailed a cab to his apartment, grabbed his car keys, and hit the road. The 200-kilometer drive didn't seem long, not with longing thrumming in his chest like a second heartbeat. The highway stretched ahead, mostly empty, the streetlights flickering over his windshield in rhythm with the pulse in his ears. Eventually, GPS led him to a sleek hotel in the heart of downtown. He parked, stepped into the lobby, and approached the front desk, where a young woman with a name tag that read Veronica smiled up at him. "Good evening, sir. How can I help you?" "I'm here to surprise my wife," he said, heart light, lips lifting in anticipation. "She's staying in room 278. Veronica began typing. Her fingers paused, her smile faded. "I'm sorry," she said gently. "There's no one by that name checked in. Room 278 is vacant." Andrew's breath caught. "That can't be right," he said, voice cracking slightly. "Could you try again? Maybe under a colleague's name." He listed a few names. He remembered Megan mentioning. Veronica checked. "I'm sorry, none of them are registered either." A cold dread crawled up his spine. He stumbled out of the lobby, leaned against the wall, breath ragged. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Again and again. Then he remembered. Months ago, he'd installed a tracking app on her phone, just in case it ever got lost. His hands shook as he opened it. A blinking dot appeared. Not at a hotel, not anywhere near it. In the middle of the city, at a nightclub. His stomach turned to stone. He drove fast, the silence in the car louder than any music. When he reached the club, he threw some bills at the bouncer and stepped inside. The place was a crush of lights. Bodies, noise, sweat, booze, perfume choked the air. And then he saw her, Megan, sitting at the bar, dressed in a sparkling, form-fitting dress he'd never seen before. One strap had slipped from her shoulder. Her legs parted just enough for the man next to her to rest his hand on her thigh. His fingers moved in slow, easy circles. Andrew couldn't breathe. Then she leaned in and kissed him. Long, deep, as if the world around them didn't exist. Time fractured. When she finally pulled away, her gaze wandered. It found Andrew. Her face froze. Guilt, panic, something unreadable passed through her eyes. She stood, adjusted her dress, started toward him. Her lips trembled. "Megan!" He shouted. The music swallowed his voice. She reached out. He stepped back. "Why?" he said, his voice breaking. She had no answer. He turned, pushed through the crowd, left the strobe lights. The noise, her, rain battered his windshield on. The drive home. At one point, he thought about calling his father, asking how he'd survived when Andrew's mother walked out. But the thought passed. No point in opening old wounds. By morning, every trace of Megan was packed into a single box: clothes, books, gifts, perfume, moments. On the side, he wrote one word: trash. When he stepped outside to leave it by the door, he froze. Megan was there, suitcase in hand. Behind her, the same man from the club waited in his car. They stared at each other. She clutched her purse like a shield. He held the box like a verdict. He set it down at her feet. "Take your garbage," he said, "and get out of my life." The box tipped, spilling its contents. A pair of lace panties fluttered to the ground near her shoes. She bent, hands shaking, gathering everything. Andrew turned and walked back inside. The door clicked shut. For the first time in days, he could breathe again. Megan moved in with the other man soon after, but he never proposed. Something inside her knew he never would. At first, she told herself things would settle, that the fire would return, that she hadn't ruined something precious. But the man she left everything for turned cold, demanding, and then violent. It started with tight grips, then rough shoves, then bruises she had to explain away. She began wearing long sleeves, canceling plans, avoiding mirrors. One night, after the worst of it, she woke up in a hospital bed, her parents sitting silently at her side. They took her home. Days passed, then weeks. She barely spoke. All she could do was replay the moment, the one that shattered everything, the way she walked away from the only man who ever loved her without condition. And she knew she had destroyed something she would never find again.